Well, welcome friends to the Cornerstone Connection. My name is Matt. I'm the youth and family pastor here at Cornerstone Community Church, and I'm excited to share God's Word with you this morning or afternoon or evening for just a brief time. If you've been tracking it all, I've been in Judges chapter 6 covering Gideon's story and just getting a bunch of great insights, and I know his story has just blessed my life, and God has blessed my life by sharing Gideon's story in Judges 6 here. And what I shared last time was just how Gideon, he was just honest. He was telling God, hey, I come from he said in verse 15, he said, my clan is the weakest in Manasseh and I am the least in my family. When the Lord was telling him, hey, I want you to go and battle the Midianites. I want you to take them over. And Gideon's like, I'm not good enough for that. I'm not strong enough. I'm the least. I'm the weakest. And God, remember, responded in verse 16. He said, but Gideon, I'll be with you, and you will strike down all the Midianites together. And you know, you would think most times that should be enough, right? And for all of us, that should be enough for God to just say, hey, I'm with you. It's something he says to his disciples and to us in Matthew 28:20, when he's given the Great Commission. At the very end of it, he says, I am with you to the very end of the age. And that should be enough, right? And yet in our weakness, in our humanity, we always seek more, though. We want this affirmation. We want to make sure that God, you are with me. How can you show me? How can you prove it? And Gideon was no different. Follow me in verse 17. It said, after the Lord said, I'll be with you, Gideon, Gideon replied, if now I have found favor in your eyes, give me a sign that it is really you talking to me. Please do not go away until I come back and bring my offering and set it before you. So what happens is in the following verses, Gideon goes, he brings the offering and brings it before the angel of the Lord, and the angel says, hey, put it on this rock. And he does so, and the angel takes his staff and touches it to the offering, and fire just flares and it consumes everything in that offering. And Gideon, actually, for a moment, though he got his sign, he's a bit terrified because he says in verse 22, I have seen the angel of the Lord face to face. And he knew what that meant. Like, no man can see God face to face and live. But listen to God's response. Verse 23, but the Lord said to him, peace, peace, do not be afraid. You are not going to die. In verse 24, so Gideon built an altar to the Lord there and called it, the Lord is peace. Man, God is so good, isn't he? I can think of a moment, actually it was in the process of becoming a pastor here at Cornerstone. I was a teacher in elementary school before that. I wasn't necessarily looking to move jobs at that point, and one thing just led to another. It's a long story. But I remember in one of the interviews, I was meeting, my wife and I were meeting with the elder board here at Cornerstone, and one of the elders turned to me and he said, Matt, when your peers, when your coworkers at school find out that you're becoming a pastor, or that you're at least applying to be a pastor, what do you hope they say? And I'll never forget this. And I just replied and I said, my hope is that they say, that makes sense, based on how they see me live out my life and live out my faith in the years I've been at the school. And in that moment, I didn't think much of it, but it was apparently me asking for a sign from God, because that next week I had to go and start letting people know that I was possibly going to be moving on from the school. I was nervous. I didn't want to disappoint people. And I remember going into my boss's office, the principal and the associate principal, and I was letting them know. And I let them know that, hey, there's a good chance I'm moving on from here. I'm going to become a youth pastor. And I'll never forget, the associate principal just leaned back in his chair when he heard that, and he looked up at the ceiling and he said, that makes sense. And I don't know if I realized it in the moment, but I'll never forget that. It was just this affirmation from God that, Matthew, you can go. I'm with you. Here's a sign. If you wanted one, here it is. Go. I'm with you. And so, friends, let me challenge you. What have you asked God for recently? And think back this last week. How has he proven to you that he's with you? Because I guarantee he has. We just need to remember and look back and say, oh yeah, God, you showed up like this. So let me challenge you to do that, leave you with that, and I'm excited to see you again the next time on the Cornerstone Connection. Have a blessed day. See you soon.